is Smiley G, and this is being brought to you by the Community Alliance newspaper magazine. Today I have a special guest with me, a Fresno community activist and producer, Edna Collins, who runs Soy Media. Edna, thanks for being here.
Well, thanks for the invitation. Thank you very much.
Now, Edna, you've been around here in Fresno really making an impact. Well, I mean, I've been watching your shows and what you've been doing for the community and interviewing people online at CMAC, really trying to make a big difference here. What are the current issues that you find that are problematic?
Right now? Well, I think that during the pandemic, there were quite a few things that came out. Don't you think? I mean, we're short a hospital for a couple.
What about crime? Do you think crime has gotten worse here in Fresno because of the pandemic? I mean, on Saturday, we had, 4 homicides that just happened.
Oh, most definitely. People are just, what's the name of this show? Stirred up.
Stirred up, that's right.
Yes, they're just on edge. I mean, they've been all cooped up all this time, and there's a lot of energy going on in there, and it sometimes comes to a head of that energy. What can I say?
Yeah, right. There's a lot of things going on here in Fresno that people don't really know what's going on. For example, we've heard that, we'll just throw it out there, the Democratic Fresno Party wants to put their hold on news, or they want to restrict what news may be out there. Bluntly, I'll just say that the Community Alliance is under attack right now. I mean, you've heard about it. Certain, writers or issues that the Community Alliance, the progressive movement, are trying to do here in Fresno is under attack. When we censor, newspapers or media sources for their content, then really, I mean, that's kind of un-American, right?
Yeah. I mean, well, why in the heck would they want to do? I don't understand.
Well, I think it has to do with maybe a lot of politics, game of politics, But when it comes down to the name of the... Right. Politics and friends.
Right. What kind of politics?
Well, money.
Or?
There's money involved in these races, these political races. These politicians are taking money.
Of course.
And I guess the point is, we want to know, or shouldn't the people know, who they're taking the money from?
Don't they write the list as to who their donors are?
You got people here in Fresno with big pockets. If they can give the money to certain people and control them or have a say in their politics, then that can really influence things, right? So the Community Alliance is a progressive voice that wants to bring to light anything that's in the darkness, right? Mm-hmm. We want people to know the truth and let the people see it. If there's anything untruthful in what we write in our paper, then let us know. We'll give you a voice to dispute anything that's unfactual.
Okay, so they're really censoring the alliance, or pushing to censor the alliance because of a lie, or because of fabrication of something, or what exactly is the point?
It's really kind of unclear, because if anything we've written in the Community Alliance, if anything is not accurate or unfactual, then we're inviting anybody to correct it, to write a letter to the newspaper. Let's fix it. Mm-hmm. But if it's only political banter, or people are trying to get political because they don't like that we're pressing and disclosing or revealing certain things in this political race, then that doesn't seem to be fair to censor a publication when we believe in free speech. That's what we believe in, right? We're a progressive movement.
Decide on their side, decide on the side they want.
That's the scary part. You know, we saw in the Trump administration this war against news, this war against truth. We had alternative truths. We had in the Trump administration, there was an attack on the media, a serious attack. And that's what all fascist, totalitarian leaders do. If they can control information, then they can control the masses. If they can convince you that what you hear and what you see in the news isn't true, then they can control you, right? And unfortunately, during the pandemic, millions were affected. Hundreds of thousands needlessly died because they believed a false lie, right? They believed an alternative truth that the pandemic wasn't real or the masks weren't important or the vaccines won't help you. And unfortunately, they died because of it. Well, we are in a time where information is at war. And so if we allow even good-hearted people, even people on the left, even Democrats, to try to censor the voice in our community, that's only going to lead to a slippery slope. Don't you think?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, okay, today I had a politician call me and said, I'm concerned about this whole Community Alliance Democrat situation. I'm not really sure what's going on. And I explained to him that, well, there may be some things that certain groups don't like to read. But what do you do about that? And he said this to me. He goes, I'm a politician. I don't want everyone to like me. They may not like me, but I'm not going to silence their voice. If they are going to say something bad about me, as long as it's factual, it's their opinion, then fine. Then I can respond to it. But I'm not going to censor their voice. Their voice should not be censored. This is America. So I felt like that was very strong for him to say that. He's a politician. He knows that he's not going to get everyone's vote, but he also is not afraid to be criticized. He's not afraid to be put under the microscope, and he's willing to respond. So I don't know why other politicians are afraid of it. I mean, you know Fresno better than I do.
Maybe it's not really wholehearted politicians. Maybe it's just a little job for them. I don't know. It depends on the person. Depends on one specific, the personalities. Was that their chosen profession?
One of the things I think Fresno needs, in my opinion, Fresno needs this truth. It needs transparency. And, you heard about that whole scandal with the city recently that money was I guess stolen, hundreds of thousands, almost, a big amount of money, maybe $1 million, $500,000, something like that, where a city worker transferred them the money, and they were, I guess, in Africa, but they thought they were real contractors. And I guess the FBI and everyone got involved, and Mayor Dyer, he knew about this since the beginning of his mayorship here. But he had secret meetings, right, behind closed door meetings with the council, and said, hey, we got to keep this on the down low. We got to keep it, quiet. The FBI and other entities asked us to keep it quiet for the investigation. And that's great. But someone leaked it. And then, of course, Mayor Dyer was very angry because he understands that when you breach the trust of an agency like the FBI who asks you don't disclose it, it can make Fresno look really bad. That's a legitimate argument. But then again, another argument is, hey, we, the people of Fresno, deserve to know what's going on, Mayor Dyer. So you're not the police chief anymore. You're the mayor. And so There's no more secrecy. We need to know when things are going bad.
Well, at all times, really. Good, bad, ugly. We're all part of the team, same team, right? I mean, after all, we're the tax-paying public.
The tax-paying public, right? That's a really interesting, I recently I heard, what state was it that recently approved to cover all the costs of college tuition? Did you hear about that? I saw a tweet.
Oh, really?
Bernie Sanders, he tweeted, he said, I want to congratulate, I forget what state it was. Let me look it up. What state is giving free, what state is giving free college? Let's look that up right now, if I can type correctly. What state is giving free college? And if my internet is working properly, it'll come up. We'll wait for that to come up, but it's a state, I believe, that's doing this. Here we go. Coming up. Why isn't it coming up? Jeez Louise. Okay, I gotta find that somewhere else. But I know that it was a tweet from Bernie Sanders, and it was really... I mean, so what do you think about education, Edna? I mean, do you think that higher education should be free like K through 12 is?
Well, does it really make sense for them to be having to get out of school with $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 pay? Really? Does that make sense? It doesn't make sense to me.
You're right.
Before, and just a little, I'm in the 70s, I guess, or 80s, we didn't have that. We were able to get grants to offset the cost.
And grant funding, grant funding is, it comes from, it's free money.
Mm-hmm.
Free sources, but someone's flipping the bill somewhere.
Mm.
See, in our country, we have this idea that we're united. We're the United States, right? It's almost a real joke because once you turn 18, you're not. You're on your own, man. I mean. We fought in this country, the liberal movement, they fought in this country to get K through 12 free education. If it wasn't for that liberal fight, we would have workers 12 years old, 10 years old. I mean, in other countries, they're working in the factories, in the mills, right?
That's true.
So we have a great privilege.
I mean,
in Asia, where do you think we were getting all of our products? Cheap labor over there. They got different rules and different laws. The great thing about this country is that here, as a kid, you can be a kid, and you can have all the opportunities that's available. You can have the opportunity to be the most educated person, to become an engineer, to go to school, because education is free in this country from K to 12, right? But when you turn 18, then all bets are off. Then you're on your own. Then basically, you'll be on the streets if you don't make the right decisions, right? It seems kind of ruthless and heartless, like how our country is the best country in the world, but check this out, Edna. We're the best country in the world, but do you know how many COVID deaths we have?
How many COVID
deaths? Okay, let me give you
9 million?
Let me give you perspective. We have like 980,000 COVID deaths. That's almost 1 million. Before the end of this month, before we hit May, we're going to hit 1 million in America, 1 million deaths in COVID. Okay. Let me tell you about South Korea. South Korea right now is the hot spot. Right now, they have more infections than anybody. You know how many total deaths South Korea has? Less than 20,000 total.
Really?
Deaths. And in the past month, they've experienced half of those deaths just in the past month. So why is it that we, the best country in the world, have the most deaths? We lead the world in our deaths, in our recent deaths, in our long-term deaths, in our short-term deaths, in all COVID deaths, but we have the best technology. How is that? There's a lot of issues at play when you think about that. One of it has to do with that war against truth that I told you that President Donald Trump, he waged against the American people for his own personal pursuit to make sure that he looked good during a deadly pandemic. He downplayed it where people were affected. Thousands needlessly died in this war of truth and information that we have. And because of that, in this war of truth, people didn't wear their masks. People didn't get vaccinated. People died. People thought, oh, we live in America. We have the best technology. They didn't understand that this little microscopic virus that you can't even see will humble you to the point of not being able to breathe. It's a horrible disease. Here in Fresno, 2,800 people have died. Almost 3,000 people have died. We are a county of 1 million people. We have, almost 300,000 cases? So it's people are dying from this here in Fresno. We're having 4 people die a day in Fresno. COVID. You look at the data. So it's still around. People need to get vaccinated. People need to protect themselves. We are in a war of information. If we allow people to censor our voice, our publication, it's only going to do bad.
Well, it's already turning into a situation. Didn't you hear about this outside company is buying up all the newspapers?
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember where that company comes from.
Not only that, Edna, but the housing market is going to shit. I mean, the housing market is so bad right now, and it's because other companies are, these rich companies, entities are buying it up, and it's going to raise the cost of rent so much.
Yeah, well, inflation. That's what they say.
And then we haven't even talked about the big elephant in the room. We have 5 minutes to do it.
What is that?
That's what we are going to experience with the Ukraine.
Oh, no.
What Russia is doing to Ukraine. Look, we already know the atrocities that Russia are capable of doing. Look, if you weren't paying attention, Russia did this in Syria. But nobody cared about it because they were brown people. But when it's happening to white people in Europe, now the world cares. But what Russia did to Syria, it's unthinkable.
Okay.
Unfathomable.
Now, did you understand or hear that this whole thing emanates from Russia does not want to pay the Ukraine for use of the pipeline that's underneath their country for the movement of gas?
I'm sure there's lots of reasons why, but whatever the reasons are, Putin is sacrificing his own people. I mean, tens and tens of thousands of Russians have been just wiped, just killed, because Ukrainians are very good at what they're doing. They've been at war. It's not recent. They've been at war. I mean, That's the whole reason why Trump got in trouble, right? The whole quid pro quo. Because Russia was trying to keep the United States from giving Ukraine money for this war. But Ukraine has been at war for a long time, and they've been ready to fight the Russians. So when this happened, they weren't surprised. They were just ready to go. Give us the weapons. We will do it. But now that we know that Russia is a part of the UN Security Council, but they're the ones doing all these atrocities. I mean, what they're doing in these cities are so bad. It's unthinkable.
Well,
Fresno, unthinkable.
Wouldn't they kick them?
Who?
Russia.
Russia has nuclear weapons, and they're threatening anybody that will go to Ukraine. But Ukraine is not afraid. Ukraine's killing those Russians, but at what point will it stop? Because the Russians, they know they can't win in that battle. So what's going on? They're going into homes, and they're raping women. They're raping them in front of their children. They're killing people, common people. They're terrorists. So what do you think that's going to mean for us? President Biden today announced that Putin is a war criminal. Are we just going to sit around and do nothing? You know what that means, Edna. You know what that means, Fresno. This is not just going to die down like when people said the pandemic was just going to die down. 1 million people dead later. Did it die down? Is this just like the flu? No. If we don't fix what's going on right now in Ukraine, like President Zelensky is saying, handle business, squash it right now, it's going to turn into another horrible world war. So, yeah, anyway, Fresno, we are the community voice. We are brought to you by the Community Alliance. This is Stir It Up. My name is Smiley G. 88.F. This is my first time doing this, so if I messed it up, I'm sorry. But it's been fun, and I wish you the best, Fresno.
Okay.